Okay, welcome folks. 101 on a snowy afternoon. Could someone please do a sound check in the chat? Please let me know if you can hear me. Okay, terrific. Welcome. We'll give it just a few thank you. Give it just a few like 30 more seconds for folks to log on. Hope you all are doing okay out there. I don't know if you've been out shoveling. I have. It's okay. Chipping away. There'll be more to do later. Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. Um, Let me get full screen here. So we've got because we're remote only, and by the way, the Pretoria Justice Center is a warming center today. The city of Lambertville opened that up. So if folks, if you hear of anybody who loses power and needs heat or electric or what have you, um, the Pretoria Justice Center is available for that. Here is our agenda. Um, As you see, we've just called to order. We are now going to approve the minutes of last year's annual meeting. Um, what we're going to do is we're going to review it. I'll give you a few seconds to just peruse. Again, this are the minutes from last year's annual meeting. This is our formal process. Um, and then we're going to ask for a motion to um, uh, approve those minutes, and we're going to ask for a second. So right now, while you're perusing, I'll say if you like that, okay. Approval is moved by Jeff Campbell. Do I have a second? Second from Chuck Hanson. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to, I've just launched a poll, and you're going to have to, you should get a pop-up, and I'm going to give you about 10 seconds or so to approve those minutes. Okay. Going to end the poll. I'm going to show you that the motion to approve has passed. Those minutes. Okay. Now, moving on. So, a couple of comments about the budget. Um, we are remarkably consistent. We are in good shape. Um, from an accounting standpoint, there are changes. So, at the bottom right, we're projecting a deficit. There are two reasons. There's no reason to be concerned. The first reason is last year in 2025, when we received grant awards, we in our for accounting, it's considered income. The expenses that are tied to that income may happen this coming year. And so that it's an expense. So there's one differential there. So we did receive grant awards last year, and we haven't spent those monies yet. The work hasn't happened. That's going to be happening next year. The other main reason is the Marshall House roof needs to be replaced. The state of New Jersey will be paying 60% of that. We are responsible for 40% of that. We had estimated roughly over $28,000 for that. That was already baked into these expenses, but we're now allocating more in case there's an overage. These days, what we are learning through our various projects that there are often overages from our estimates that the contracting expenses, um, you know, exceed sometimes greatly what we've estimated. So that explains the deficit, but otherwise, I just want to assure you that our assets remain um, uh, remarkably good. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to say in the chat, could I have a motion to approve the budget? Jeff Campbell has made that motion. Can I have a second to approve the budget? A second from Carrie Willie and from Chuck Hanson. Thank you. I'm going to do the poll so that everyone can vote. And I'm going to give you 20 seconds. Okay, that motion is passed. Thank you. Okay, um, we're going to go through highlights from 2025 with your permission. There you'll see a wonderful photo of Crystal Cusworth, Lambertville resident in action, restoring the George Harding mural of Washington crossing the Delaware, and that'll be discussed later. So our mission, we do have a mission, and why am I showing this? This comes up, periodically. What is our core mission here? So we foster, inspire, and encourage the awareness, preservation, and appreciation of Lambertville's history and architecture through various means. And the second half of the mission statement is that we curate, promote, and conserve the James Wilson Marshall House and Museum. Um, so what I'm humbly doing here is I'm just taking through our highlights, and you'll see that we're uh, actively fulfilling our mission. So last year at our annual meeting, Shane Blaché gave a wonderful kind of photo essay walking through the history of railroading in Lambertville. February 1st, we had an absolutely fantastic plein air plus art auction after a year when we did not have it. So we came back super strong. That was organized by Liz Regal and Lori Weinstein, and a whole bunch of folks of dedicated volunteers, 300 attendees, 65 paintings sold, about $15,000 net for Lambertville Historical Society. Uh, just an absolutely a smash success. Lots of very attractive people there in attendance as well. We had a shad demonstration on Lewis Island conducted by Steve Meserve. You see him on the left. We had a great turnout. We had nice weather. Um, uh, Bottom left, or Steve Meserve submits reports to the state every time he goes out for a haul. And so there you get um, his commentary about that particular day where um, they hauled in $9. Uh, Bill Falk, one of our trustees, who is an award-winning journalist, was so inspired by the whole Lewis Island history and experience that he wrote a feature article in the New York Times. Um, just a wonderful showcase about our local history. So we had that article framed. Steve's there on the left, Bill in the middle, and Mayor Noack on the right. We had three copies printed. Lauren Rosenthal McManus at Ampersand Framing did that framing and layout. And then the one version is going to be hung in City Hall, one in Marshall House, and one we gave to Steve Meserve and his family. We have uh, Marshall House when we reopened. We've got new exhibits. Thanks so much to Mary and Rich Friedman. We've got a then and now upstairs. We've got two brand new touchscreen monitors, which are playing videos. We've got a James Marshall video. We've got the Alice Norducci and History of the Lambertville Historical Society and Marshall House Restoration there. And then we had a reception on May 10th where we Mary and Rich kind of showed off what our functionality and our new look. So encourage you when we reopen, if you haven't been in there, to pop in. We had a social graciously hosted by Kelmia Club, and they host us often, and that is just super appreciated. And again, you'll notice these very highly attractive people always seem to be in attendance at our functions. We have a very successful annual scholarship outreach. We invite South Hunterdon Regional High School students to interview an old timer, quote unquote, about their first job in the Lambertville area. We do that because first jobs are remarkably well remembered by everybody. We all vividly remember our first job, even if it was crummy, and that makes us laugh as we get older. Um, but we remember who we worked with, who we worked for, what we earned, the operations, what our responsibility was, and various lessons. And so the students, pair them with these old timers. This year, 7 students representing grades 9 to 12 participated. Um, we awarded $1,000 to what we considered, the best article. The other 6 were so good, we gave them each $100, for outstanding achievement. And in the bottom left, there's like just a representative quote from one of the students who, Landon Katz, who, by the way, I saw him. I was checking out at Giant, and he said, "Hey, I'm Landon Katz," and I said, "Oh, yes," and he thanked me for and the Historical Society for that wonderful experience. So good to know. We had a full house at the Pretoria Justice Center for Marty Campanelli's presentation on samplers. Um, uh, they are remarkably um, valuable. I learned, and just very interesting, all the different styles. And so Marty is an expert in local samplers that were created in the 1800s and some in the 1700s. And there are different tells about each where you can identify who created it, what school they were created from. Bottom right, you see Marty actually will assess or evaluate samplers if you have one. Oh, and I should say that was Barb and John Henchek had suggested that we conduct that program, and love those ideas. And so always, all of you folks, if you have an idea for a program, we're happy to make that happen. Ed Hoag, our trustee, had conceived several years ago of a vintage baseball game. And so we had another one in August, and it was highly attended, super fun, and just a great time. Um, Over there on the right, by the way, I included a little excerpt from an old map from the 1860s, I believe, and that's so the cricket ground was essentially where between CVS and um, Spoke Works, no, not Spoke Works, uh, like where uh, uh, Basil Bandwagon is. So that's where that cricket ground. That's where they were playing vintage baseball back then. House tour was a tremendous success. Thanks to Carrie Willie, our trustee, and a dedicated team of volunteers. Again, 808 tickets sold, 100 volunteers, net of $20,000 approximately, the most um, since the year 2000. Just we had a gorgeous day, fantastic homes, just again a fantastic experience. Thanks so much. And Carrie took over that leadership and um, just did a fabulous job, as did the rest of the team. And so we were super appreciative of that. Um, Chuck Hansen helps organize the historical bike tour. I think this was the third annual one. So we get a group, we ride around, and this year there was a theme. Um, of railroading, and Shane Blanchet, who was mentioned earlier. He was pointing out notable sites showing the history of railroading. Um, so that's a real great kind of active activity, and so we look forward to that continuing in the future. Our quilts. We have a collection of about a dozen historical quilts. It's our prized asset, to be perfectly honest. They have to be refolded every few years. They have to be reappraised every 10 or so years. And so we brought in an expert. The expert that we'd used in past years, Dana Balsamo in Princeton, is no longer doing this kind of work. So she referred me to another expert, Karen Dever, who visited us. You see Mary Friedman and Lee Lawrence there. There were other folks as well, and we were refolding and examining these gorgeous pieces. And what's very exciting to me is that I asked Karen if she would do a program just about our quilts this spring, and she said absolutely. So we'll look forward to that. We'll keep you posted. Some data about the Marshall House Museum. By the way, that bottom left, that's what it looked like um, originally in the 60s. Um, Museum was open 56 days from late April to early November, 1,433 visitors, and a huge shout out to our volunteer docents who were there Saturdays and Sundays. You know, they have to be there for us to be open. Someone's got to be there, and not only are they there, but they're engaging with the visitors, talking about our history, and just sharing the deep appreciation of Lambertville with folks, many of whom are coming from far-flung places. We are continuing to work on an oral history project that was initiated several years ago with the Mexican American community here in Lambertville. We um, More than 30 interviews were conducted, and they are being analyzed, and that will be a very special program when we complete that analysis and work on how that would be presented. So we'll keep you posted about that. On our blog, we profile um, folks who are kind of making history. So this year there were three profiles, and they were each viewed between 500 and 1,000 times. So they're very popular. They get shared. Um, just a nice little activity with lots of good images. So that's on our blog if you go to our website. Fred Eisinger is our indefatigable editor of The Nugget. Um, and all issues of The Nugget are on our website. If you ever are inclined, you can peruse them. Um, it's what's great to me about it is that, it comes out quarterly, and Fred, and he's giving recaps of our activities, but he also typically includes wonderful historical pieces. In this case, there's a little screenshot of one where he from this past year about like the trolley and railroad, and then of course a disaster, building fire. For some reason, that's always a popular subject. Grants are huge for us. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So CHPP, is a Hunterdon County grant for our um, annual operating expenses, kind of, you know, to say it quickly, for keeping the lights on, but obviously more than that, things to help us function. Jeff Campbell, Regina Hoag, um, Ed Hoag are uh, dedicated to preparing these applications and making it happen. It's 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 arduous, and it's absolutely essential. So we apply for this grant every year. We typically receive a good amount, and we're very grateful for that ongoing effort. Um, Hunterdon County for the jail restoration. So we do receive we've received three grants. Um, After a year of inactivity, we finally got payment for the third grant award, and that work will be beginning this year. Um, the Marshall House, the difference about the New Jersey Historic Trust grant to help fund the Marshall House roof replacement is again is that sharing aspect. So the CHIP and the jail restoration grants, those are just 100% grant funded activities. We don't pay anything. With the Marshall House, the state will be paying 60% and we're paying 40%. Um, Lastly, we partnered with the library. The library is actually the grant recipient, but I wanted to include it here. So the New Jersey State Library had a grant opportunity for programming to celebrate and commemorate the 250th anniversary of our country with a focus on our area. So um, there'll be a series of programs, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But again, another grant. And I would just say, I've always thought that I know there are folks who have participated in grants. And but I also know that there are folks, maybe like artists, people coming up or who are new to the area who will ask about grants. And I just humbly put out there that it would be great if the city were to organize more like a grant advisory committee where expertise of various folks could help others identify opportunities and pursue them effectively. Our walking tours that we conduct once a month during the season are a huge hit, and I want to thank Bob Miola for these fabulous, vivid photos that he took on the last walking tour of the season. Lou Tobaz is showcased there. Just great photos, great effort. It was a beautiful day, as you can see. So Lou's not the only one who conducts the walking tours. We have other guides as well, and it's just periodically enjoyed activity, lots of fun and super informative. It was our 14th year of celebrating holiday music by our local artists. We do have online, we've got 14 quote unquote digital albums, and they're all free to access and they're very popular. This year we had two concerts, and then we added in a caroling session. The concerts, one was at the Elks, one was at Calmia, and they were just fabulous. As you could see from those photos, just full of spirit. It's amazing how talented our neighbors are, and we love making that history and um, celebrating the holidays. Okay, so special note here about the semi-quincentennial 250th anniversary of the nation. So, we are partnering with the library. There'll be a series of programs that already some have taken place. There was one by Crystal Cusworth and Washington Crossing State Park about the um, Harding mural of Washington crossing the Delaware, and that will be prominently featured at the new museum that Mark Sirak's going to be talking about later. We created three booklets. So the centerpiece is in the middle of that photo is Tom Ogren wrote Lambertville during the American Revolution. Um, just a fantastic booklet. It just published in December. Um, that will be available. We'll let you know how you can get your own copy. What you see in the photo on either side there are two much shorter condensed versions for students. One a four-pager for elementary school students, um, and another one for middle school. The high school students will get the adult version from that Tom created, and all those we've printed. They'll be distributed free to all the students at South Hunterdon, um, and so we'll be sending those out in the coming weeks. The big event this coming year is April 13th, to mark your calendars. There will be an encampment of soldiers, reenactors at Holcomb House, the Clausen property. They'll be camping out there and demonstrating, muskets and um, tents and what have you. There will be an appearance by General Washington, who will inspect his troops and I suspect engage with the attendees. Um, The Historical Society has curated tours of the house itself and of the barns, and we thank Tom Ogren for being very involved with that. That's going to conclude our highlights for 2025, and so we'll look forward to seeing you. We'll be keeping you informed of what's coming up. So now we've finished the highlights, and we're going to say thank you to our departing board members. Nancy Campbell, Regina Hogue, Lee Lawrence, just, you know, great people, great service. We're so appreciative. Um, and when they step down from the board, as some of you who might be here in the audience have done as well, we understand that we'll still see you, but we thank you for being part of the board. So the coming um, uh, board is presented here. We've got three new participants: Denise Adamucci, Sue Craig, um, Lisa Shippey Woods. So we're very excited. They're already engaged. They've been engaged with other activities that we've had. Um, so I would like to ask via chat for a motion to approve uh, the officers and the board for this coming year. Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. I April 18th. I'm seeing in the chat. April 18th, by the way, is the encampment. I put the wrong date. We'll get that corrected for the. So sorry about that. Okay, so anyway, back to this motion. Motion to approve from Nancy Campbell. Motion or a second from Carrie Willie. Thank you. I'm going to pull up that poll again. Mark, I'm sorry about that wrong date. I thought for sure I had it right. I'll let you okay. All right. That motion is passed. Thank you very much. Um, Upcoming activities and volunteer opportunities. So, Plein Air Plus will be March 7th at the Riverside Ballroom at Lambertville Station, new location. In the past, Rago graciously hosted us for free at their venue, and that was no longer available to us. So we're now at the Lambertville Station. Um, Lisa Shippey Woods and John Franzini are leading, and Patrick Gallagher are leading a team. They're already doing a fabulous job with the logistics and the outreach, getting things rocking and rolling. There's going to be just a terrific collection of art. Um, Please consider volunteering if you'd like to. We have the uh, similar kind of function as we will need some folks helping either transport or work at the um, event itself. There are sponsorship opportunities as well. All this is on our website. If you were to just pull up our website, and the very first panel will take you to that page, and you can click through about buying tickets online. It's cheaper to buy. It's $45 in advance as opposed to $55 at the door. There's limited capacity, so you're highly encouraged to buy in advance. You don't want to get shut out. The ballroom is much smaller than Rago. So we'll look forward to seeing you. It should be just a fantastic event. On that note, um, we're going to adjourn the business meeting. I don't know if I guess I'll make the motion. Yes, I do need to make that motion. And I did not create a poll to do that. So I'm going to ask in the chat for a motion to adjourn the business meeting, and I'm going to ask for a second, please. Okay, Chuck Hansen's made a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second? Second from Denise Adamucci. Thank you so much. Um, I'm going to try to do that poll. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can quick. Uh, you know what? I didn't create the poll. So I'm going to ask in the chat if you can. I don't think it's controversial. Please put in the chat. Just say yes if you're approve that we can adjourn this business meeting. Okay, very good. Thank you for that. And that concludes my part, and I'm sure you're happy about that. And now I'm going to turn it over to our guest presenter, Mark Sirak, who's going to talk about the transformation of the Washington Crossing State Park. Mark is a resource interpretive specialist at the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. He has over 37 years of service at the park. He administers the Washington Crossing Museum and Visitor Center and its extensive collection of Revolutionary War artifacts. He gives tours to school children and other visitors. He runs lectures and programs and offers weekly musket firings to the delight of all. Um, so on that note, we're going to try to stop the share, and Mark is going to share his screen, and we're going to enjoy his presentation. And we will have, so there, if you have questions, there's a Q&A. Don't do it in the chat, please. There's a separate um, Q&A function, and then we'll take those and address them at the end. So Mark, I think you might need to request that share.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Let's see if I can get this sharing to work properly.
Okay, so we're seeing that. We just need you to get into the slideshow mode.
All right. Are you seeing just the main screen there with the future unveiled slide?
Yes.
All right. I think we're ready to go. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm glad to be here today to talk to you guys a little bit about the exciting improvements that have been going on down the road at Washington Crossing State Park.
Mark, we're still seeing your notes.
Still seeing my notes. Okay,
Yep.
hold on one second.
Or we're seeing the next slide is what we're actually, there you go. Got it.
All right. All right. So one of the newest things, actually, even not including the improvements at the park, is the New Jersey State Parks has rebranded as New Jersey State Parks, not the State Park Service anymore. And each park eventually will have their own branding. And you can see at the top there the new branding for Washington Crossing State Park, 3 different versions you'll see around. So that's pretty exciting that we have our own branding now, and we're trying to start pushing that out to everybody. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what is occurring down at the park. First off, just wanted to mention how working with the Historical Society and the library on those 250th grants that Mike mentioned, we're very excited to be working with them, as well as the Washington Crossing Park Association, which is the Friends group down at Washington Crossing. So major improvements have been planned, or most of these are now underway in the park. The top one being the construction of our new museum and visitor center, that is about 3 times as large as our current one. We had a groundbreaking in the fall of 2024. As you can see there, they had a 15-month estimated construction schedule. The weather has not cooperated. We're obviously a little bit behind on that. We're now looking for an opening to be in around mid 2026. Also, throughout the park, we're going to be preserving and restoring and have many of the historic buildings, the Nature Center as well, which was built about 30 years ago and needed a refresh. Picnic pavilions, we put in a new one, which we'll be showing you later, as well as upgrading our restrooms. If you guys do happen to go around the park and come down and visit us on a regular basis, you have seen our roads have not been good for many years. So we're getting repaved roads. About half the park is done at this point. There'll be new wayfinding, interpretive signs, directional signs to try and get people around the park a little bit easier. We're doing tree work and masonry repairs. George Washington Memorial Arboretum, we're going to be talking about the first phase of um, rehabilitating that. One of the great things about the Museum and Visitor Center's contract was that we put in there that we needed to create a historic properties management plan, which was undertaken and is almost complete. And that looks at all of the historic buildings throughout the park and gives us an idea of what work needs to be done to stabilize or improve them, save them, different things, so that we have a game plan for the future. And finally, we're also working with Washington Crossing Historic Park in Pennsylvania, um, because the two parks obviously are interrelated in terms of the crossing, and the National Historic Landmark actually encompasses both sides of the river. So we're working with them to get that boundary updated and make sure everything is properly um, done with the federal government. So the first off is our new, why are we jumping so fast? Is the new museum and visitor center. Just some quick highlights. It's going to have over 2,000 square foot of permanent exhibits, which is almost not quite three times the amount of space that we currently have. And then we'll have an additional 1,000 square foot in what we call the Flex Gallery that will allow us to have rotating exhibits. We have three cases at least that are available for that. Um, we also have a multi-purpose theater for our video as well as lectures, etc., with 99 fixed seats and a flat area at the top that is doubles as a classroom when we're not showing the video. And if we have a very large contingent of people, we can bring out an additional 25 chairs to create a 125 seat auditorium. And then also the Crossing Theater Experience, which is part of the main exhibit area, where you would board a reproduction ferry boat and be surrounded on three sides by screens and actually get to cross the river with General Washington. We're very excited about that. It's kind of the wow factor that we want for people to continue coming back. Here's one of the original layouts of the museum. There are some slight differences now, but it's generally the same. We have the main entrance over here, a welcome plaza, the overlook area. If you know, the overlook area is right here along the bottom. Um, when you come in, you have a welcome lobby. You come down the hallway, the reception, and right into our flex gallery. And the offices, et cetera, are off to the right, the auditorium, the main exhibit area, which includes the Crossing Experience Theater, and then our storage area and mechanical area over here, off to the left. A couple of the really cool aspects of this is we actually had built in a covered terrace as a pavilion so that we can do some outdoor programming even in bad weather. And most importantly, it gives us a space for students when we have our school groups to have an area to eat their lunch in a covered area regardless of the weather. So it's a great asset. And then the stairs come down behind that to the pathway that would lead to the pedestrian bridge and then down to the river to see the be at the riverbank at the actual crossing location. Also in the back here, one of my favorite things is entitled Amphitheater Classroom here, an outdoor meeting space retaining walls that can be used as a seating area and do programming outside as well. So a lot of thought went in to actually choosing the location for the Visitor Center Museum. If you have been to the current Visitor Center Museum in the park, it is over off the map here. It's about a half mile from the museum down to the river. We're kind of disjointed a little bit uh, further away than most people expect us to be for the historical aspect of the park. Um, so we wanted to get closer and kind of consolidate this historic district here. And it worked out really well. Um, Once we started thinking about it, we were actually able to look at some of the original plans for the park, which was obviously much smaller in the beginning. And as you see this white line here, that was kind of a pathway slash roadway that would just kind of loop and make a half circle from the light down at Route 29 and 546, and then exit over by the Johnson Ferry House. By looking at that, we were able to kind of utilize the landscape so that the new museum fits right into that same original curve with the overlook in front and being able to see directly to the river. One of the important things that my colleague Clay, who just recently retired in December, and we worked together for 30 years in the park. And one of the things that we absolutely wanted to do was have the ability for those who came to visit the museum to have a direct sight line to the river. And how that was accomplished is we wanted to see how far back did you have to be and still have a good sight line. So one of the funny stories is that Clay and I multiple times went down into this area, started back here and slowly moved forward and climbed trees to see how high did you actually have to be to see the river from the museum. So we took that back to the architects and they came up with the idea of a rooftop overlook is what we were asking for. And that is exactly what they give us right here. You can see the river off to the right, the lower Washington Grove area, the picnic area, slight hill up to the canal, up the little hill to Route 29, and then the final small hill to what is the historic overlook area that was part of the original park since 1926. And that kind of is right out in front of the new museum. Excuse me. So we have the river overlook, and one of the important things for DEP also is to try and be sustainable. And so we were able to include a vegetative roof or a green roof that will allow better water retention, et cetera, as well as the building is built into the side of the hill here, and it lessens its impact on the historic district. This is from our contractor, just showing you the thought process that went into this, the vision that they have. You can see this is the parking area. This is the ramp that goes up the face of the building and to that rooftop overlook. And you can go down this pathway to the front and the entrance to the museum, showing mature trees, etc. here. This will take a couple of years to fully look like this, I would say. But the amount of people that are there is our goal. Keep busy. Here is a rendering from the rooftop view, which will allow you to see over the overlook and all the way down to the river there with the American flag in the middle. Off to your left here, you can see this is the pedestrian overpass that you can take down over Route 29 and be at the river itself. Um, this will allow, and I'll probably talk about this a little bit more in depth later, but this allows, especially for the reenactment, there are three tiers of viewing with the 2026 and the amount of people that we expect hopefully to come out and view the reenactment. You can be down along the river, you can be here at the overlook, or you can be up on the top of the museum, three tiers. of viewing pleasure for the reenactment. So we're super excited about that. And then this is a view taken within the last couple of weeks or so, I would say, from basically that same location. That location is a little bit over here, but you can see I'm on the roof and you can see right down to the river and into Pennsylvania. So it's a great view. This is out the back of the new museum. These are the renderings of the retaining walls that can be doubled as an outdoor meeting space and gathering and programming space. This space right here will be hard packed, which is wonderful, which allows us to do multiple programs. We'll be probably doing our musket firings when it's good weather, do some historic talks out here. And we already actually have some planned programming for this location in July. Over July 4th weekend, we'll be having listening to the Revolution concert performed by the Blauenberg Band right up the road in Montgomery. And then we are also talking with the Roxy Ballet um, to do a performance possibly of their New Jersey ballad, which features Washington Crossing, which we're hoping they can also do that out here. So we're already thinking a little bit out of the box in terms of the programming that we normally do. And we're excited to utilize this outside space. Can hold about 150 to 175 people on those retaining walls. And then, of course, we would also have plenty of standing room. Here you can also, this is the window into the conference room for the staff. And then this is an entrance into the museum that will take you around to the Flex Gallery. And this is the pavilion area over here. Speaking of the Flex Gallery, so this is looking back towards that door, which would be around this back corner here. And the Flex Gallery is about 1,000 square feet. And we have some pretty cool things going on here. They're not shown in this picture, but 3 display cases will come out from the different columns here that will allow us to do temporary exhibits. I'm working with some colleagues now. We're hoping to be able to gather some centennial of the of America memorabilia, some bicentennial stuff, and then obviously what are we doing at this time to commemorate the 250th, the semi-sesquicentennial of America, and just show how different things have been done to commemorate that, whether they're different or maybe there's common themes of how we do that. So that's hopefully going to be the first temporary exhibit in this space. We also have this beautiful Toronto map that is being put in. It is based off of a 1777 William Faden map, based off of, because we did, it shows the troops crossing the river and then it movements down to Trenton and the Battle of Trenton. So we did make a few changes to make it a more historically accurate, but based off of William Faden's map. Uh, we also look forward to doing some new kinds of programming with this as well. We're hoping with some of our younger visitors, we'll have them build a Durham or a ferry boat, and then they can come out and they can actually cross the river and march their men down to Trenton and see how that actually occurred. A quick, small program, maybe 20 minutes or so, but involve some of those younger visitors in crafts as well as learning. Over here, this door here would be the entrance to the main exhibit. This door here is the exit from the main exhibit, and set right in the center of that in a place of honor so that everyone can see will be the restored 1921 mural by George Matthews Harding. So here is that restored mural with the Washington Crossing Park Association trustees here, myself, and the Office of Historic Sites Administrator from DEP. Uh, we were lucky enough to go see it as a restored, completely restored. We're still obscuring it a little bit because we want to unveil the whole thing unobscured um, in its new frame when we do open the new museum. So we're excited about doing this. Now, I'm not sure how many of you know the story behind this. I'll hit it pretty quickly because we did just do a whole program on this last week for the Historical Society as and the Lambertville Library. But this mural was originally painted in 1921 to be hung in the Taylor Opera House, at the time called the RKO Theater on Broad Street in Trenton. It was painted by George Matthews Harding, who is a famed painter uh, who went to the Pennsylvania School of Fine Arts. And he is well known for multiple things. He is the one of, if not the only, combat artist that went and served in both World War One and World War Two. He did some excellent combat art from there. And then in between the interwar years, he was also well known for doing murals. After this one in 1921, he would become well known for doing the Pennsylvania Post Office murals and several other public buildings throughout the Philadelphia area. And you can still go to some of those to see the murals that he created in the 1930s. This particular one, as I said, was from 1921 in the Taylor Opera House. It hung there until the theater went out of business in the late 1960s. And then it was rolled up lovingly by some amateur conservators. There was debates about where it should go. Um, at one point, it was discussed to go in the Mercer County Community College, the brand new Mercer County Community College in 1971. A couple other suggestions, and then one of those suggestions was for it to be hung in the brand new Washington Crossing State Park Visitor Center for the bicentennial that was being built for the bicentennial. Long story, that had a couple of fits and starts and things so that when it was actually built, it was about 5 months from plans to completion in 1976. And somehow along that time period, they did not construct it with a wall large enough to take this mural. So it remained in storage at Skylands Manor up at Ringwood State Park, um, and kind of just got forgotten. It was known about, so a few people knew that it was there, but it essentially was in obscurity. It couldn't ever come. We never had a location for it. And then one of the Washington Crossing Park Association people found a reference to it in a book, started a campaign, looked at it. Crystal Cusworth went and looked at it for them, and it was determined that it could be restored. And we were really excited that now we had this possible mural to put into the new museum, and now we were able to actually plan the museum for this mural that it could be hung. So we are super excited to have this um, be on display in the new museum. Real quick, here's our exhibit area. One quarter of the museum will be the pre-crossing years, so Prelude to War, the French and Indian War through 75, 76, the boat order to gather boats that we have from the Swan Historical Foundation. The museum will continue to have the Swan collection of the American Revolution. We will have almost 300 pieces on display. What is great about this is while our current museum actually has more on display, it's kind of shoehorned in there, and we designed the exhibits here so that it was a little bit more spread out, more visual, more accessible to many people. But we designed the exhibits so that we can rotate things. You don't necessarily need to see 13 different kinds of pistols on display at one time. We can put out six, have them there for a year or two, and then rotate them into storage, which is proper museum etiquette. So we're very excited about being able to do an even better care of this wonderful collection that the Swan Foundation has on loan to the state. And the boat order is one of our prize pieces that was signed by General Washington to gather boats for the escape to Pennsylvania, and then those same boats were utilized in the famous crossing of the Delaware. So once you get to that point that we now have those boats unavailable, you enter into the Crossing Experience Theater, load up onto that ferry boat, and then on three sides of the theater, uh, you will be have screens, and you will actually move across the river with General Washington's troops. You'll see the fires getting larger as you're approaching the shore. You'll hear actual quotes from people who were there describing it. You'll hear the shouts of some of the soldiers, the ferrymen, neighing of horses, the what would have been occurring during the crossing to try and fully immerse you in that so that you feel that you were with General Washington's men. Now, once you land in New Jersey, you come out into the half of the museum that is on our story, the 10 crucial days from the crossing through the Battle of Princeton. As you meander through there, you'll learn all about everything that happened during those 10 days. We have battle maps, interactive battle maps of the Battle of Trenton and the Second Battle of Trenton and Battle of Princeton. Uh, And throughout the museum, we have what we call side bios. They're short little snippets about people, everyday people, women, minorities, and other soldiers to give a little glimpse into what they experienced throughout the war. Once you exit the Battle of Princeton, it's early 1777, and the final quarter of the museum will go from January of 77 through the Treaty of Paris in 1783. Here's the architect's rendering or model that they originally put out of the museum and their vision for it. And here is from June of this year. You're going to get to see quite a few pictures tonight that not a lot of people have seen. Um, This is one from June of 2025. They've got the first pour of the wall concrete up. This area in here is the exhibit area. These two large columns are the backing for where the Harding mural will be hung, and you'll enter here. The crossing experience will be back here, and then 10 days and the exit of the rest of the war coming out here. Over here is the auditorium, etc. This is taken within the last couple of weeks. So you're looking from a different angle now, but you can see how much more work has occurred on the museum in the last 6.5 months. The entranceway to the entire museum here, and then the glass that is next to the Flex Gallery and the Welcome Lobby. And here's our rooftop overlook. There are those wonderful retaining walls from June, not quite finished, but you can see what a nice seating area and outdoor programming space this is going to become. This is that same area actually this past Friday. Here I am actually underneath the pavilion looking out, and you can see the seating area, and this is from the back. Here's that conference room we were talking about, the stairs that come down to the pedestrian walkway, and this is the pavilion area that will be utilized for lunches and inclement weather programming. This is a fun thing from June. This is took this picture one day, and within a week, the wall looked like this. And then now, 6 months later, the completed wall with the pavilion right above us. So here's just a few other shots of the museum exterior. Uh, Here, this is looking down from the green roof, which is not completed yet, onto the rooftop overlook, the other small section of green roof here, and then this is the main entrance into the building below. This is just looking down the front with all the window framing starting to be put in the rooftop overlook here. And this is the interior. This would be where the reception desk is going to be. This is looking up the back stairs as they continue to work on them. They are still doing that as of Friday. This is underneath the pavilion with our fancy tripod that holds it up, and the stairs heading up to that rooftop overlook again. And then this is on from the top of the rooftop overlook, looking back to the Johnson Ferry House, so you can see how we've really consolidated the historic district. And here's some shots of the museum interior. Again, here are the two columns in the lower left here. That is where the Harding mural will be. This is the entrance to the exhibits, the Crossing Experience Theater, and this is the exit to the exhibits. All the way in the bottom right here, this is looking into what will become our storage space. We're super happy. While it doesn't look like it's a large area, what that is because if you can see these rails in the floor, we were able to incorporate into the contract movable storage, which allows us to utilize a smaller space to um, store a much larger inventory of artifacts because not only do we have the artifacts that we currently have in the Swan Foundation collection at the museum, but we have additional artifacts that are coming from the Kells Swan estate. The upper shot here is being shot down through what would be the window. Looking, this is where the terrazzo map would be. And then this is the auditorium, and again, the exhibit space back here in the corner. And then this, I just really like this picture from basically the exhibits exit space and showing how, even though this is before the window framing and the windows are in, just what a beautiful view you have just from the Flex Gallery and looking up into the sky along the ramp up there. And this is very cool because you have this, even when the museum is closed, you can walk up that ramp, get a great view of the crossing, but also look inside, see the mural by Harding, as well as this beautiful terrazzo map, and really still get some nice interpretive experience, even if the museum is closed. Then there's a shot from Route 29 from this past Friday, the current state of the museum. There's still a ton of work to be done in the museum, but the changes that have occurred in the last 6 months even are astronomical, and we're really starting to get excited about the prospects of getting to move in here and utilize this space to tell the story of Washington's Crossing and the entire war throughout New Jersey. But the museum is not the only thing that's occurring in Washington Crossing State Park. It is definitely the largest. It's actually the largest 250th project in the state. Um, but we've invested a whole lot more to improve the visitor experience as well. The Johnson Ferry House, which is the only building on either side of the river that was in existence and still in existence from the night of the crossing, uh, discusses different aspects of the crossing, but also discusses the domestic side of everything. And that is getting an exterior restoration, restoring these paths that have really gone um, out of code, uh, fixing the accessible entrance, getting a new furnace, and then doing interior work as well. And here's just a couple shots as we did some of this work over the last 6+ months. Alden Bailey did an excellent job, the sanding and getting to work on the gutters. As you can see, the windows have been taken out to be restored off-site, as well as a couple of the doors, so that they could be properly restored, and then they would be brought back and put into place. And here are some pictures from December of 25 showing the finished restoration of the ferry house. It looks absolutely stunning. Um, just so much brighter, so much cleaner. The colors look wonderful. All of the windows are restored nicely. Nancy got a nice new woodshed here that is great. And then the accessible entrance is vastly improved as well. And we got a new garden fence for the entire garden as well out of this. All the pathways have been set to ADA. ADA will come here and then go around the front of the house, but we do have a pathway all the way around so you can see all aspects of the house. And with a fine crushed stone on top to emulate a little bit more of a historic feel as opposed to a blacktop. Next on the agenda is a Nelson House. This is actually was able to get funding in a budget line item by the Washington Crossing Park Association. They were looking for funding to restore windows and doors, interior plaster walls and ceilings, repaint the entire interior that needed it, paint the exterior and trim and fat fascia, repair anything that needed to be repaired, uh, masonry work of repairing and repointing the front porch and stone walls, and then in the front, or excuse me, in the back, leveling and repairing over 120 square foot of bluestone on the back patio. And here's some of those shots of our finished restoration, finished up in November of 2025. You can see the how much more cleaner and crisper the paint job is. Um, this is the bluestone in the upper right corner picture. This was an amazing amount of work for the Hawley brothers, the contractor who came in and leveled all this and put in a nice Belgian block uh, border here. And you can see it down here in the center lower side as well. And just an interesting note that they completely redid this ceiling here. And when they were working on it and taking it out, there were, I think it was 5 different bee and yellow jacket nests in there that we had to contend with. So they really earned their money restoring and working on this building. The stone barn, which was built in the late 1780s, possibly early 1790s by Abraham Harvey, right across from the Johnson Ferry House, built on the foundation of probably the ferry house's original barn. You can see in this picture here the 1976 restoration and color scheme that was held all the way up until the present day. Um, Needs a new roof. All the windows need to be repaired. The second floor entrance over here off of the ground needed to be replaced and getting a new heating system. Here you can see the new roof being installed. All of the windows and doors, again, were taken away to an off-site location to be repaired, most of them at least, to be brought back. And then the finished product over here with a new color scheme that is more emulates the 18th century um, colors and matches the Johnson Ferry House a little bit better as well. And then the second floor entrance that is vastly improved also. Just a really great job by the Hawley brothers did this one as well. And then on the corner of Bear Tavern and Washington Crossing Pennington Road is the administrative office where the park police are. Um, that needed a lot of work. It is going to have an interior rehabilitation that has not been started yet, but we have worked on the siding restoration and restoring the porch and the accessible ramp here. And you can see here that the actual siding that is was on the building at this point was asbestos. So that was a bit of a task to come in and take care of that, and absolutely not even close to being historically correct. This building was built in stages, so you would have different siding throughout the years. So here's some of the in progress pictures. Again, all of the windows and doors were taken away to an offsite location to be um, rehabilitated and restored. And you can see here some of the work that was happening in the siding and painted siding. This is the siding that we restored the siding. This is what was underneath that asbestos siding. Looks like clapboard I'm sorry, boxcar siding is what some people call this, Dutch lap. Um, this is probably, and don't hold me to this, but I saw a picture from the 1940s showing this. This is probably like somewhere between the 1880s and 1940s that they switched to this kind of siding for most of the house. Interestingly, as I said, there are different aspects of the house built at different times. And when they took all of that asbestos off, most of it was this boxcar type style. But here we had a section that was just clapboard. Um, we end up we did decide to end up leaving that so that hopefully in the future at some time we will be able to do a wayside, talk about the different aspects of and sections as they were built, and talk about the different kinds of siding, etc. So these are some of our finished pictures. Looking down the front here on the front porch in the lower right. This is looking from the driveway in the back corner, again showing that clapboard. Um, and then here is in the lower left, you can see the new ADA ramp and the beautiful porch flooring that they did as well. Another wonderful job. This was by, just slipping my mind, Williams, I believe it was Williams Restoration. The Nature Center was built, as I said, about 30 years ago, but it needed a little bit of a refresh. So we invested in that as well, really trying to bring the whole park up to snuff. It got a new roof, new floors, LED lighting, painting throughout the interior, a new furnace is still in the works, possibly. And then creating a more safe environment for both the employee and the public by changing some of the visibility from the office doors and installing pocket doors so that the two main rooms of the building could be separated to allow for programming more easily. And here's our finished interior renovation. In the lower left is our brand new, well, actually 6 months now he's been with us, Joseph Moore. He is our resource interpreter specialist, natural resources, or what we just call our naturalist. He's doing amazing programming. I definitely suggest that you look up his programs on the Washington Crossing Park Association's website and the state parks website as well. He is now open to the public. He opened in the last, actually Thanksgiving weekend. He reopened to the public. He is standing in the classroom area, which has now had some more stuff put into it, but this will be where some of the programming would be. Above that, this is the pocket door that allows that programming area to be closed off. From the lower right here is the new flooring, ceiling, lighting, and moved around some of the exhibits in the exhibit area, and the office is off to your right. We also went around the park and looked at the different bathrooms and recognized that they needed to be upgraded as much as possible. And we had a couple of picnic pavilions we were looking at that don't date back to the WPA, which we have several that do, but are more modern, that we thought that we could possibly replace. So we got a new picnic pavilion at Knox Grove, new roof at Green Grove and Knox Grove, and the river also got a new roof, exterior and interior rehabilitation done. And that was one of the bathrooms beforehand. Here you can see a brand new roof on the Knox Grove bathroom. The upper right is the River or Washington Grove bathroom, completely repainted, all new doors, all new windows, new heaters inside. This bathroom really had an extensive amount of work done to it by the Mayo Mayo Construction, who also did the Nature Center. Um, and then this beautiful new pavilion here to replace one that was really not in great shape. And additionally has an ADA accessible walkway, allowing full access to anyone that would like to utilize it. We'll also be putting out some new directional and entrance signage, including hopefully on the new entrance sign, we'll have a changeable message board to keep up to date on programming throughout the park, new entrance signs at the different corners, and then directional to get you around the park a little bit easier because our park can be a bit confusing with the road system. So we're improving that signage as well. Additionally, we'll also be putting in some new waysides in the overlook area in front of the new museum. We already had four waysides there. We'll be adding a couple new ones there. And then there'll also be new waysides, possibly one or two at the river, and then down at Trenton Battle Monument as well. So we're working with some companies on finishing those up, and they'll probably be installed this spring. Also, throughout the entire park, there's been a lot of tree work done. There was a lot of hazardous trees near the roadways, so we were able to get some funds to go completely along those roadways, cut everything back. A lot of tree pruning and removal in heavily used visitor areas. And then in the Washington Crossing, or excuse me, George Washington Memorial Arboretum, we were able to remove many of the dead and hazardous trees there so that we can start working on restoring that as well, bringing it back to life. The Park Association has been able to get grants to, on the left, you can see how some of our older signs and plaques looked, and on the right is how they've been restored in the last year to 2 years. Just an amazing improvement. The George Washington Memorial Arboretum, which is just out the back of the museum, was planted in 1932 with mostly New Jersey species. It has been rehabilitated a few times throughout the years, but it really needs a lot of work. So the Washington Crossing Park Association applied for some grants as well as a bequest from one of its original trustees and has gotten a master plan together to improve the arboretum, plant some new trees, clear out some the dead ones. We took out a lot of the dead ones, put in new pathways that will be accessible around the green here, some new plantings. This is basically phase one, putting in the pathways and such, and then they will go to secondary pathways, et cetera, and educational signage, working with the state Office of Communication, Interpretation, and Education. They have some great natural signage that we can utilize to show off on the sides of these pathways different plants that are native to New Jersey, etc. And this will also be great because right down here is in the lower left is where the new museum is, as I said. And you can see the pathways lead right up and out through an old gate that went into the old nursery that used to be here from the 1930s and 1970s. And they are being kind enough to make sure that we have pathways like that so that our school groups, which I often take on a march to get them to understand the march to Trenton, will be able to utilize those pathways and go through that gateway and then come back on Continental Lane to experience a march. As I had mentioned earlier, if you've ever been in our park, our roadways were pretty terrible. So half the park from the main intersection to the Nature Center and Knox Grove and Green Grove has been repaved by DOT, which is really fantastic. They relined it, repaved it. It's so smooth and wonderful. The other half of the park from the main intersection down to the construction site has not been done yet and will not be done until the museum is finished, due to the fact of just the construction trucks would just ruin it if we tried to do anything right now. But in the end, we will have a completely new paved park. Funding sources for all of these different projects came from the Federal American Rescue Plan. appropriation, a National Park Service semi-quincentennial grant programs, as well as land and water conservation. The Park Association being able to get that state budget line item for the Nelson House, and a huge amount of this has just come from the New Jersey State Park Service capital and operating budgets that have been slowly over several years putting money aside so that we could create this wonderful experience for the visitor, basically as our um, former commissioner said, a gift to the state as well as the nation on the 250th anniversary uh, birthday of the United States. We also got New Jersey Historic Trust preservation grants for the George Washington Memorial Arboretum. And of course, Washington Crossing Park Association themselves have also invested from that bequest that was given to them and fundraising into the Arboretum and so many other projects, including the restoration of the Harding mural, which cost over $90,000. Now, if this works, the next slide will be a nice video. I'm not sure if the sound is going to work. We were trying to figure that out earlier.
It's not working, Mark.
Yeah,
I think
I
we'll
see
just
it's
pause.
not working.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, it's
We'll send out a
maybe if
link.
if I pull this, give me 1 second. I'm going to change it to this screen and see if I can share sound. Nope, still not letting me. So I apologize that the video will not allow me to do the sound for some reason. But it is available if you look, uh, I believe, on the State Park Service website or go to NJ State Park's Instagram account. And they did this about 3 weeks ago, I believe. So if anybody, nope, not the right one. Just to let people know about bringing the 250th to life in Lambertville, that is the Rev NJ and New Jersey State Library grant that the Lambertville Free Public Library was able to obtain in partnership with the Historical Society, Washington Crossing State Park, and the Park Association. We have had several events already. But the upcoming events on March 1st will be a visit from Ben Franklin at the library. He will be talking about his life, his experience during the Revolution, and highlighting aspects of the subscription library that he was one of the founders of in Philadelphia, being that the Lambertville Free Public Library started out as a subscription library, the Stryker subscription library. On March 15th, we'll have a visit from Phyllis Wheatley, one of the first published Black female author in America, and she'll be going over the lifetimes and some of her work. And then on April 18th is that Revolutionary War encampment at the Holcomb House. As Mike said, we'll have cannon firings, musket firings. George Washington will be there. Daniel Bray will be there, working with some of our reenactors to do special programs such as a possible court martial or recruitments. And then also up at the barns, there will be tours of the barns, and you'll be able to walk through the Holcomb House. And we also, Tom Ogren was able to get John Reese to do a talk that will be also occurring, sponsored by the Lambertville Historical Society, all during this Revolutionary War Encampment Day. So it's going to be a jam-packed with schedule. So set aside the whole day or part of the day and come see what you can learn about Lambertville during the American Revolution. And finally, if anybody does want to support the park, the best way is to do so through the Washington Crossing Park Association. You can join, you can donate. They do amazing things for us, help us with funding for programming at times. They do their own programs as well, and really help the park in general. So that's everything I have. So if we have questions or anything, I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Mark. There are some questions and we'll get to them, but I just want to say I think I speak for everybody. We're just so grateful that we have a park and an asset, here in our area that's just so educational and entertaining and just a just a great um part of our what makes our area special. And I can't wait to visit. And perhaps we can organize some tours for the Historical Society to visit the park together. We'll talk about that.
Yes, we will
Uh,
work on
so
that.
so here are some questions. So first, we're gonna see where is this entrance where is the entrance? Off of Route 29 or 546?
The entrance will remain the same on 546, and you will just come down further on the loop towards the ferry house. And as you come back up, you'll be parking at the new museum.
Got it. Okay. John Fellon has another question. Um, I cycled down from Lambertville. Can you allow cyclists to use the bridge over to the museum and have bike racks in the museum plaza?
We do absolutely plan to have bike racks installed, and yes, you can utilize that pedestrian bridge. It's just like the crossing the river as well. You should just technically walk your bike over the pedestrian bridge, but you can utilize it to get to the museum from the canal.
Okay, terrific. Linda Barth asks, how does the rooftop viewing area mesh with the vegetative uh, roof?
The vegetative roof is slightly higher than the actual rooftop area, except for that small section. And the way it works is that there's a border of stone around that vegetative green roof so that you don't accidentally step onto those aspects of the roof. Does
Okay,
that answer the question?
I think so. Uh, okay, Jane Abatanta, how will the museum incorporate annual crossing reenactment festivities? Are there new plans?
Yeah, the museum will be utilized as a viewing location, much as it is today. We currently, on the day of the crossing, as well as the rehearsal, which is 2 weeks prior, we have a much larger program called The Landing. Uh, but on Christmas Day, you'll be able to be up on the overlook on top of the building, at the overlook there in front of the building, and down at the river. All those areas will be open for viewing. We always do at least one talk at about 12:30 where we review the crossing to let people know why we're there, what is the background, why was Washington crossing the river, etc. Um, so that will be a normal aspect. I will say that obviously the 250th is coming as we open, so it will be a much larger process. Um, we are still in talks and working with the other sites of the 10 Crucial Days, Washington Crossing Historic Park, ourselves, the Old Barracks Museum, and Princeton Battlefield. And currently, the plan is to work together to create a grand event of the entire 10 Crucial Days that
Wow.
will go from the day before the crossing at the New Jersey Park. We'll do the Johnson Ferry skirmish, which actually did occur on Christmas Eve of 1776, and in small, quick engagement between 50 Jaegers, Hessians, and 30 Americans. So that will be reenacted on the 24th. The 25th will be the standard crossing reenactment with encampments on both sides and a larger, more robust program, much more like the rehearsal is, where we usually have encampments and stuff. We're going to do that on the 250th Christmas Day. Soldiers or reenactors plan on marching from the crossing down to Trenton on Saturday morning, most likely, the 26th, and then the battles of Trenton will occur, both the first and second battle, sponsored by the Old Barracks Museum. And then possibly on the morning of the 27th, there may be a march from Trenton to Princeton. And Princeton would be the only one that is kind of moved from its actual anniversary date so that we could create this possibility of a 4-day weekend, essentially, where you can do from the skirmish to the crossing to the battles of Trenton to the Battle of Princeton, get the 10 crucial days in a consolidated 4-day program. So that would be another reenactor march, and then immediately followed at around 9:30 a.m. we kick off the Battle of Princeton. That is still in talks. You're getting a little bit of inside information here. It has not been confirmed that is exactly what is going to occur, but that is the general idea of the grand event for the 250th anniversary of the crossing and the 10 crucial days.
Sounds amazing. Stephanie Moss asks, the work that you have done. Oh, by the way, Jane said wonderful that to your answer to that question. Stephanie Moss asks, the work that you have done has been wonderfully thought out. What was the total budget to do all this work? And can't wait to visit.
What ended up being spent in the park is over $24 million dollars. That was the most recent number that the last commissioner used. But I think that the total number actually climbs a little bit higher, closer to 27 million for everything that has occurring in the park. That is what it's going to end up being. The budget, of course, was much smaller, but you know how that works in construction.
But I think we all recognize that when you hear that kind of money, that this kind of transformation and improvement happens every 20 to 50 years. I mean, these kinds of things just don't happen regularly. So the fact that we're getting this transformation while we can all here on this call enjoy it is just wonderful.
Yeah, our last massive, like this kind of investment, to be honest, was probably the bicentennial. We've
Wow.
had other investment through the years, but something of this scale, it's been a long time.
Yeah. Stephanie said it is fantastic. We need to keep our history. John Fellon asks, is the Goat Hill Overlook an extension of the park or is it a separate entity?
It is technically a separate entity as the Overlook, but it is administered by our park.
Okay. Just some other comments. Any other questions out there? As people are saying, Jane added, wow, money well spent, so excited. I think we all agree with that. Um, I think that might be all we have. Well, Mark, it's just and I feel you must be on a personal level to experience this. You've been there so many years, and now to get this transformation while you're still and to shape it is remarkable.
Yeah, it's quite exciting. It's been a long road. It's been a lot of work, but especially in the last, say, month to start really seeing the building take shape and start seeing interior work occurring and feeling out how it's going to work inside. It's 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 becoming much more real
Yeah.
to me, and I'm really excited about it, to be honest with you. I did see somebody
Yeah.
ask there.
In the
What's happening
chat.
to the old visitor center.
Yeah.
That is part of the contract that is being demolished. One of the reasons, on top of many others, that we're moving out of there is that it's really not a building that should be continued to be inhabited much longer. It was, as I said, thrown up in 5 months, and I think we basically had problems since the day it opened.
Yeah. Uh, Another question, are there plans to improve Goat Hill?
At this time, I don't know of any large expenditures planned for Goat Hill. Maintenance is the main thing as we try to get our guys up there. They have over the last year tried to work on clearing um, the different trails and stuff because there's actually a lot of work that is up there. Uh, but I don't know of any major plans for it other than trying to keep it maintained.
And I'll just add that I don't know, folks on the webinar, how many know about this, but two of my favorite landmarks at Goat Hill are one of the summit marker, um, which is you can find it uh, if you stick with it. It's on the map. Um, Mark, are you familiar with that summit marker?
I have not gotten all the way to it. I've been almost there and had to turn around I think it was getting dark and I couldn't see it anymore.
Well, so that's the challenge right now is that it's kind of in the woods off of a trail, but you can if you get there, you can find it. It's from the 1920s. It's a wonderful little destination to get to. And then lastly, there is the Bradfield. There was a dentist from the 1860s who etched his name in a stone near the Washington Rock. I don't know if you're aware of that, but that's a nice thing to see. It's not readily visible from the path. You would have to climb on top of a rock, which is not easily accomplished. I will say there's some days where I've been able to do it, and others where I have not. Um, my son can attain that uh, venue regularly. But so those are just two nice little things, and I don't know, just putting it out there in case anyone's looking for when you're traipsing around Goat Hill, things to look for. Any other questions out there? There were other comments, by the way, Mark, that I haven't been able to, like people are saying, like, must be really rewarding for you, Mark. Great presentation. Huzzah, huzzah. Um, so I
Thank
think,
you.
yeah, just wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Mark. Thank you, everybody, for joining us as we're seeing some icons. So uh, stay warm. Happy shoveling. We're all going to be doing it somehow. Up. Ed Hogue has raised his hand. Uh, Ed, did you have a comment? A question? Let me see. Um, no, maybe that was just or in the chat. Just nicely done. Everyone's just saying. I think they just appreciate your presentation, Mark. All right, we're going to call it a meeting. Call it a day. Thank you, folks. We'll see you again soon. Take
Thank
care.
you, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.